Welcome everyone to this rather unusual presentation of Leith St Andrew's Church accounts for 2020. I am presenting the accounts in a different format this year, trying to break down the figures so they have more meaning to you. With regard to donations and legacies, if we take the free will offerings, the open plate and the standing orders, we are only down from last year by approximately £3,000. This is quite remarkable considering the circumstances. We are very grateful to everyone who continued to donate and to those who changed to paying by standing order. The box scheme is down quite a bit due to, unfortunately, losing a few people who used this scheme. As a result of the loss in donations, our gift aid is of course down too. Legacies are down, but this is not something we can control. The gift appeal, of course, is down as people tend to hand this in on a Sunday, and we tried to encourage people to do it online this year. The rest of the smaller items are all reduced as well, meaning that donations and legacies are down by approximately £15,000 this year. We will now go on to other income. The first part is what we call charitable activities, and these of course have all been affected. Although the Claremont Players and Capital Concert Band figures are up, this is due to the majority of it being for the previous year. Charitable activities are therefore reduced by £624 this year. The next two slides cover use of premises, which again has been greatly affected by COVID. Capital Concert Band continued to pay their full rental for 8 months and then reduced it to £80 per month when they realised they would not be getting in to rehearse in 2020. The playgroup paid their full rental as they were able to meet for a good part of the year. Maryfell and Dance, unfortunately, found another venue to rehearse in once they were allowed to meet again, but we do hope they will come back to us. Unfortunately, the rest of the hall income is well down, as you will see from the remaining groups on this slide and the next. The income from use of premises is down by approximately £7,000. This slide shows the income from our investments, which has remained about the same as last year. Although the rental is down on Easter Warriston, so is the value of the repairs. This is due to the fact that the tenant is self-employed, and as a result of COVID, many of his contracts were cancelled. He therefore asked for a reduction in the rent for 5 months, but during this time he repainted the hall and stair and built a new garden fence. Income on investments is down by approximately £1,400. From this slide, you will see we have withdrawn from the trustees roughly the same amount as last year to cover our running expenses. We have, however, had to make an adjustment to last year's figures due to changing the accounts from fully accrued accounts to receipts and payments accounts. Our reason for doing this was because our auditor could no longer audit the accounts for free, and we had to look for someone else to do this. Fully accrued accounts have to be prepared and audited if the income is more than £500,000. Our income is less than that, so receipts and payments accounts are acceptable. They can then be independently examined, which is cheaper than an audit. In the end, it didn't matter, as we found a very kind gentleman to examine them for free. We will now move on to expenditure. This slide shows a reduction in expenditure of approximately £4,000. This is mainly due to ministries and mission allocation down by £2,500 and heating and lighting down by £750. The rest are down by smaller amounts, apart from cleaning, which, as you would expect, is up due to COVID requirements. On this slide, we have a further reduction in expenditure, mainly on repairs, which are down by £4,000. Benevolent fund expenses are down £1,000 and legacy expenditure is down £2,500. The main repairs were approximately £6,000 for major electrical work and £2,600 for the refurbishment of the outdoor play area, which was becoming unsafe. There were no retiring collections to pay out. Here we see our total income and total expenditure brought forward, showing a loss for 2020 of £16,069. We add on to this the gains / losses on our investments, and this gives us a net movement in funds of £15,682. We add this to the funds brought forward from last year, and we get total funds carried forward to 2021 of £1,077,412. We now have our movement in funds explained. This slide is the Endowment Funds and shows a net expenditure of £1,605. Only the annual income on this fund can be used. Here we have the unrestricted funds, which have been set aside for various purposes by the trustees. These funds have increased slightly due to the receipt of the rental income on the Warriston Manse and the income from our investments. Here we see the two manses valued a few years ago at £400,000 each, and the movement on the general account showing a net expenditure of £14,679, which is a big part of our overall deficit. Here we have all the funds on the one slide, making up our closing balance of £1,077,412. We now move on to our income and expenditure for 2020, showing the variance on our budget to our actual and our budget for 2021. I will go through points on the budget as the income and expenditure is self-explanatory. Firstly, income. Our weekly offerings are more or less the same as last year, but you will see the open plate has been reduced, and this is because a lot of people have moved to standing order. The other offerings and donations again have all been reduced, as we didn't know when we would get back into the church. Use of premises has been drastically reduced, as we have no idea when groups will be allowed back in. This shows an expected income of £59,450. And now expenditure. The Church of Scotland has reduced our ministries and mission payments and our presbytery dues, as they realise congregations will be struggling this year. Worship, pastoral and Christian education, all much the same, but we will no longer be purchasing freewill offering envelopes. There are so few people using this scheme now, so we will just be numbering ordinary envelopes. The first part of this slide continues with worship, pastoral and Christian education, and it again all more or less shows the same figures as for 2020. Other building costs again about the same, but cleaning costs increased in line with 2020's expenditure. Everything budgeted for on this slide is in line with what we budgeted for in 2020, and this gives a total expenditure of £73,024. This slide shows the total expected income up by approximately £2,000 on last year, and the total expected expenditure down by £8,000 on last year, but still giving us an expected loss on operating income and expenditure of £13,574. Again, I would ask that you increase your giving to the church. I know this is a lot to ask at this time, but as you can see, the church does need it. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. And understood it, but if you have any questions following it, please email me